What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Manor career with myself, Tom. Here we are for round 11 of the 2016 F1 Championship for the Hungarian Grand Prix, or as many of the YouTube community like to call it, the Magyar Nagydej Grand Prix, as that is Hungarian for Hungarian Grand Prix. As you can see, we've got not one but two upgrades for this particular weekend. An upgrade in downforce. We need this specifically for this particular type of circuit, and also an upgrade in fuel efficiency, which means we were able to run in rich fuel mix for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, the teams above us, McLaren and Toros, also upgraded for this particular weekend, so we stay behind them for now at this stage of the development race, but we managed to extend our lead a little bit over Force India, so at least that's a positive. We've maintained our position, and let's get on with the first practice session in Hungary.
We arrive at the Hungaroring in Hungary for today's practice session. This 4.3-kilometre track features a number of tight corners, which has been the scene of many memorable races. Let's hope we have another this weekend.
Alright, welcome to the Hungaroring. Let's begin with the track acclimatization on the medium tyres as we go past the only covered stand on the entire circuit. That's actually where me and my cousin were for the Hungarian Grand Prix in real life this year. And as we come to the end of the lap, it looks like we're going to be able to smash the track acclimatization on the very first attempt. They're getting the maximum number of resource points right there. Moving on into the tyre wear test. Now, I think it was actually quite straightforward to get the maximum number of resource points. I think there's a couple of areas on the circuit where you can definitely conserve the tyres a little bit more than what you can do, and also ensure you have enough in the tank when it comes to the actual lap time. I think the upgrades also help for this particular circuit with the new downforce upgrade, especially around here with all the tight and twisty sections. Moving on now to the qualifying place. Now, this was actually quite a bit of a challenge, unfortunately for us. We weren't able to get the maximum number of resource points, but we were able to beat the first preliminary target time when it comes to qualifying. So we do get some research points, but not as many as we'd hoped, but that's good progress to work on. I think Hungary would have been one of our tougher tracks on the overall calendar when it comes to this actual car. So hopefully we can take this for good form into qualifying now.
We hope you're looking forward to today's qualifying in Hungary as much as we are. We think it's going to be a cracker.
Alright, here we are in Q1. As you can see right there, we're using the softest compound available straight away using the super soft tyres, because I didn't have enough confidence to go on the soft tyre for us to make it into Q1. I know we've got a bit of a performance advantage over some of the cars that are expected to be eliminated in the first part of qualifying, but I didn't want to take any chances here. I actually did 2 time laps on these super soft tyres because I wanted to get an initial banker lap in and therefore have the delta time there on the right hand side of the screen, such that I could then make improvements round the second time round. As we come to the end of the lap for the second time round, as you can see, we're up on our time and we move up from P7 up into P3, and overall that was good enough for P11 in the overall session. A lot of drivers getting through on soft tyres that are ahead of us, but those are the major players at the front of the grid at the moment. If we scroll down to the bottom of the actual standings, Pascal Wehrlein actually made it into second part of qualifying, which is absolutely fantastic. But the people that missed out were Esteban Gutierrez, a surprise Nico Hulkenberg out in 18th, and the 2 Renaults and the 2 Saubers, which is obviously expected now, considering that Sauber haven't upgraded whatsoever throughout the season, and Renault are near the bottom when it comes to the actual performance there. We then moved on into Q2, doing our simple rule of only 1 time lap in Q2, because I didn't really want to waste the destroyers tyres if we ended up making it into the final part of qualifying. As you remember, if you get into the final part of qualifying, the tyres you set your best lap on in Q2, you have to start the race on. So we did set a 1 time lap and we managed to move up to P4 for now, but unfortunately for us, our streak of making the final part of qualifying is now over, thanks to Kimi Räikkönen, who knocked us out right at the end there, down in P11. However, I will take that, as that's the first position where you can actually decide what tyres you'd like to put on. So I'm thinking of going a little bit more long term when it comes to the actual strategy for the race. So we might be able to jump some cars who are on maybe having to take more pit stops due to the fact they started on the super soft tyres, but we'll have to wait and see on the strategy to see who will do some certain things and see what the overall top 10 looks like for the race, because of course we won't be able to see that until the end. And as you can see, these are the guys that missed out alongside me: Kvyat, Sainz, Perez, Wehrlein down in 15th, so a good result for him, and Romain Grosjean. So let's get on with the race now.
We've seen some astonishing Grand Prix here over the years, haven't we? The drama of 2015 is a recent example. Jenson Button's first win on a wet track in 2006, or in 1997, Damon Hill's heartbreak in the Arrows after a late gearbox failure cost him what would have been the team's only ever victory. What a wonderful place this is to come racing today. Located 12 miles northeast of the Hungarian capital Budapest, the 14 corners of the Hungaroring are steeped in history and prestige. Overtaking has always been difficult on this technical 2.7-mile circuit, but the last few years in particular have turned up some exceptional races. Let's hope we're in for another one here today. With me to enjoy it all is Anthony Davidson, a man who made his Grand Prix debut here with Minardi back in 2002. So, Ant, this is a bit of a special one for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd say so. I also stood in to commentate on Jenson's win in 2006, and as I was a test driver for Honda at the time, you can imagine that was quite an emotional Grand Prix. It's also a tough circuit on the drivers, this one too. Lots of long, slow corners that require a lot of patience from inside the car. Plus, it's a very downforce heavy circuit. I mean, it's all relative, of course, but if you're lacking a bit in downforce, or if you've got a bit of an imbalance in the setup, this is definitely one of the worst places to have to deal with that.
We're in a very good position today. Let's see if we can do even better in the race.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. It was a good showing from Red Bull in qualifying, and Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Rosberg, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Hamilton, Bottas, Massa, Alonso, and Jenson Button. Manor, Kvyat, Carlos Sainz, and Perez, Wehrlein, Grosjean, Esteban Gutierrez, and Nico Hülkenberg, Magnussen, and Palmer, Marcus Ericsson, and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright, here we are on the grid. Let's have a look at the race strategy for today. It took me a little while to decide what I wanted to actually do here. I definitely wanted to go with the high time management strategy though, as I want to eliminate one extra pit stop, and the fact we can use the softs and only the mediums and not have to use the super softs would be absolutely fantastic. So twiddle around a little bit with it, but then I then decided to go for the recommended strategy and see, hopefully, if we can possibly extend the stints depending on if there's a safety car or I drive a little bit more conservatively. We might be able to achieve that, and the fact that the medium tyres are actually quite durable from this particular section, as you can see when we go from our custom strategy to our projected strategy. I think the projected strategy shows a little bit better tyre wear on those mediums, so fingers crossed we're able to get this strategy to work and be able to jump up into the points after a disappointing British Grand Prix. As we got onto the formation lap now, really if we can get past both McLaren Hondas, that'll be absolutely fantastic, because there are little rivals when it comes to the actual Constructors' Championship. They're just behind us in the overall standing, so let's hope we can get ahead of these guys and have a good race today.
The rest of the grid is forming up. Be patient and watch for the lights.
Lights out and away we go. It's an okay start off the line. It looks like for the second phase we're going to use the Mercedes power to catch up to both McLarens and go down the middle of both of them. That's probably not the best tactic, especially when this is quite a tight entry into turn one. I mean, that's always led to particular instances. As you can see, Massa gets held up a little bit there by, I think, his teammate, and we're now up into the points in P8 for now as we got into turn two. Massa out braking us though on the outside there, and can he hold it around the outside to be able to have the inside line into turn three? Yes, he can, and he's forced us off onto the runoff area. We had to take avoiding action there. Fortunately, that's an illegal overtake, and we've had to let him through. But he's lost 2 places to a McLaren and Taurus. I know they've also made contact with someone behind. I think that was with Massa. It looks like that illegal overtake has gone away now. So, a bit fortunate there, but we've lost 2 places there, which was very unfortunate. Anyways, this is on the replay with Massa. See, he goes up the inside, and he's now ahead of us. But then we rejoin back on the track. So I start slowing down. He also starts slowing down, hits us in the back, loses a bit of his front wing. We're stuck to the left-hand side. He makes contact with us again. And to be honest, he's very lucky not to lose his complete front wing. I think he lost an end plate or something like that. As we now come to the end of lap number 3. Nothing happened really, except for the fact that Sainz managed to overtake Alonso and win the next car. As we fancy a look up the inside into turn 1, but we're too far back, unfortunately. We're going to have the DRS in operation, though, as we head up towards turn 2. It's a very small straight, though, so it's not a lot of time for us to actually overtake him here. As we come up towards turn 2 and turn 3, we've got a very good drive, though, off the exit of turn 3. Might have fancied a look up the inside into turn 4, getting a wheel on the grass there, and we managed to hold the inside line, though. We've overtaken Alonso, and up into P9 we have gone. We managed to repass the McLaren Honda there, and to be honest, nothing much happened to us until a bit later on in the race. As we now cut to the leading pack here, we've got the Mercedes having a little scrap with their own, with Hamilton going up the inside of Rosberg on softer tyres compared to his teammate, as Daniel Ricciardo is currently accelerating away off into the distance, and so Carlos Sainz is a man on the move as well. As you can see, he's going up the inside of Max Verstappen here. Fantastic move by the Spaniard, getting one on his former teammate at Toro Rosso there. He seems to have quite a bit of speed on him here. As you can see, Max Verstappen looks like he's on the medium tyres, but I think that was a glitch. He was on super soft, so that's suddenly changed on this particular camera angle there. So, a bit of a glitch there as we now cut back on board to our point of view. At the end of lap 6, start of lap 7, we've got Sergio Perez and company here. He's on super soft tyres, as you can see right there. Alonso behind has actually made a pit stop, which is why Perez is able to close up onto us. And as you can see, we're going side by side as we head up towards turn 2. Perez will have the DRS in operation, but we're going to have the inside line and force him out wide to ensure that he doesn't have any chance of holding it around the outside and being able to take the inside line for turn 3. So we're able to keep that position for now. And then 1 lap later, Perez is once again going to try another move. As you can see, we're going straight to the right-hand side there, just to make sure he doesn't try anything up the inside. We go up towards turn 1. We've out-braked ourselves, unfortunately, though, understeered wide, but we'll get away with it, fortunately, there. So we've maintained our position for now as we end up to come to the start of lap 9. Perez is once again trying to go around the outside here. We're going to take the inside line like we've done previously, just about hot slow the car down this time, and we didn't understeer wide. If we understeered in that particular situation, I think we would have lost the position there, and we've now moved up and actually into the lead of the race. Some of the cars have now made their first pit stops because they're on super softs. Meanwhile, on board with Max Verstappen, his race has gone from bad to worse, though. He's stuck behind both Renaults, and now he's got an engine failure. So really disappointing for the Dutchman here today. He is now out of the race, and we have a chance to actually overtake him once again in the Drivers' Championship. But this actual engine failure actually brings the safety car out. So we have gained a massive amount of time here, and actually very nearly contemplated carrying on there, but then immediately dropped into the pits there, because everyone else is going to be going pretty slowly. We might be able to jump a couple of cars here if we're able to have a good pit stop, and the cars that are still out on track go slow enough. So we'll have to wait and see where we end up. We should retain track position considering everyone else has pitted around us. Perez is also coming on this particular lap as well, so he's going to try and gain a bit of time and a couple of positions as well. As we exit the pits now, we're actually going to rejoin side by side with Vettel, actually just behind the Ferrari there, so a bit unfortunate not to get ahead of him, but look at that, we've managed to jump Carlos Sainz up into P7 for now, which is absolutely fantastic there. Sainz must be absolutely well annoyed at that, as we now cut to the leading pack here. We've got Daniel Ricciardo leading the race, and that is Pascal Wehrlein in second place there. That's unbelievable work from him, but that's because he hasn't made a pit stop yet. He decided to stay out and try and get track position, but unfortunately for him, that's probably not going to work out too well for him, as he was on, I think, soft tyres, I think same tyres as us. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but he's going to have to come into the pits very, very soon. He's going to drop really to the back of the field as Ricciardo leads us round the second penultimate corner as we head up towards the final corner. Ricciardo is now starting to bolt, and Wehrlein is coming in at the end of the safety car period, so that's going to really cost our teammate out there as we fancy to try and get as close as Sebastian Vettel. Had a little bit of a switch on the exit of the corner though, and that's going to allow Vettel to escape away, and now we're going to have to deal with Sainz behind us as we come up towards turn 1. Fancy a dive bomb up the inside of Vettel, but there's not enough space, and we were a bit too far back on this particular occasion. Now we've got to deal with the Toro Rosso behind us as we now cut to the middle of lap number 13. There's a yellow flag behind us, and that's actually, unfortunately for Force India, that is Sergio Perez that is in trouble, and unfortunately for him, he has suffered a left rear puncture, as you can see right there. Fresh tyres as well, which is absolutely really bad luck for him, for the Mexican here. He's holding up a whole train of cars though, which is actually going to help us out when it comes to actual ensuring that we would actually score points today. Look at that, 2 Renaults just overtaken, and just a whole crew of cars just overtaking right there as we come to the end of lap number 13. As you can see, starting lap 14, Sainz is going to try and make a move on us here as he tries to possibly go around the outside like Perez has tried a bit earlier on in the race. It was forced wide a little bit there. We're going to go side by side with Toro Rosso. He's still going to be there on the outside though, so he's got the inside line for turn 2, which is a little bit frustrating there. We might have to try and hold it round the outside into turn 2 against the Spaniard. It looks like we've managed to stay ahead just for now, which means we'll have the inside line and we'll be able to force him wide onto the runoff area, which we do so right there. All fair, well and fair. We didn't make any contact, so it was fair racing in my opinion. As we now cut to the leading pack here, Ricciardo has not bolstered away like he did in the early part of the race. You can see Raikkonen is trying to go up the inside, who actually jumped both Mercedes at the pit stops, or earlier on in the pit stops as the front two go side by side, but Ricciardo's been able to hold that position. That's mainly because he's on medium tyres, whereas everyone else around him I think is on the softs. Meanwhile, Hamilton is the first of the front runners to blink. I think also Vettel is in as well, so 2 of those out of the 5 are now making their second pit stops here. It'll be interesting to see what tyres these guys put on. Hamilton actually goes for super softs, which makes me think he's going to have to do another pit stop. There's absolutely no way he's going to take those super softs all the way to the end of the race. So we exit the pits now with Hamilton. He's rejoining a lot of traffic though, which is really, really frustrating considering the fact that he's on the quickest tyre available. You want to make use of these super soft tyres because of the fact that he's going to have to come in again as he goes side by side with the Haas of Grosjean here, as you can see in the front. I think that's Bottas in the Williams in front, going side by side with Kvyat or Sainz. I'm not 100% sure which Toro Rosso it is. As you can see, Bottas getting held up a little bit there, being held around the outside, and Hamilton had to slow down a little bit there. Meanwhile, the next guy to blink at the front was Kimi Raikkonen. He comes in a little bit later on the soft tyres. He's actually going to put on a set of mediums, which will actually take him to the end of the race. So he's in a really good position here. We'll be interested to see what the 2 in front, Ricciardo and Rosberg, both do. These are the 2 guys that are leading the way. They're both on medium tyres, so those 2 are going to have a little bit more of a tyre advantage at the end of the race. So they've done really well on those mediums to stay at the front there, and hopefully for them that's going to work out a treat, as they're going to be on much softer tyres compared to everyone else, and also fresher tyres compared to everyone else. We now come into the pits for our final pit stop of the day, going from the soft tyres to the medium tyres. That will take us all the way to the end of the race, so that's absolutely fantastic for us. We're going to be able to hopefully stay ahead of guys like Carlos Sainz. He came into the pits very early on for a new set of tyres, so let's hope we stay ahead of him as we now exit the pits. Now we're down to P7 for now, but there's no one on the left hand side of the track there, so looks like we've now moved up, we've maintained P7 for now. Sainz is on soft tyres there, but he's going to have to make another pit stop. So our aim now is to try and take these mediums all the way to the end of the race and see what happens at the end. Meanwhile, at the front, Hamilton is making moves. He's going up the inside of the Williams of Valtteri Bottas, who's on medium tyres, who I think has to make another pit stop for soft tyres. So he'll be quick at the end, so he might be a big threat to us at the end of the race when he's trying to catch us up. Meanwhile, the front 2 now make their final pit stops from the medium tyres, and they will be going on to, as I mentioned before, the soft tyre, and hopefully for them that's going to give them a good advantage. The fact that Hamilton and Vettel have been held up a little bit should allow them to stay ahead in first and second respectively. But let's see, Ricciardo does rejoin in the lead, but it gets really close between the 2 Mercedes. As we go back on board with Hamilton, that is Rosberg exiting the pits there on the right hand side, so Hamilton's just maintained his position ahead of his teammate there, but he's going to have to make another pit stop. Meanwhile, Raikkonen's now being closed up by both Mercedes due to the fact that Raikkonen is on mediums and Rosberg's on soft. Hamilton goes up the inside there into turn 1 to take second place for now, but one lap later he actually comes into the pits and Rosberg inherits that third place. Raikkonen retakes second, but Rosberg then takes P2 away from the Finn there up the inside with the Mercedes, and he's having a very strong race compared to his overall season now. As we cut back on board to our perspective, it's the end of lap 27. Hamilton is now exiting the pits right about now, so it's going to be very close between myself and Hamilton. We could have another interesting scrap on our hands for the last 7 laps or so, if I've done the maths right. Yeah, it should be 7 laps to go with we're on lap 28 for now, but unfortunately for us, Hamilton is on fire with those super soft tyres, plus the Mercedes car is just so overpowered around Hungary. I don't know what it is. The fact that it was their kryptonite in the past 2 races in real life in 2014 and 2015, as Hamilton tries to go around the outside of us into turn 1, but we've understeered wide. We've braked a little bit too late there, but fortunately for us, we're able to maintain position for now. We've got an interesting 6 or 7 laps on our hands here to try and hold back the Mercedes. We've had battles with Hamilton before in the past, as you guys remember, all the way back in China and also in Canada and also in Baku when we actually won the race there. That was the last time we actually used the expert difficulty. Yes, it was expert difficulty, as we're now on master. Anyways, we're now on to the start of lap 131. Hamilton is trying to go around the outside once again. We've placed our car on the inside line to try and force him out wide on the exit of the corner. Do a little bit of a Hamilton on Hamilton, pretty much. Essentially what Hamilton was doing to Rosberg back in Bahrain 2014. Take a little bit of that medicine as we come into the end of lap 31. Unfortunately, though, we've gone a little bit wide on the exit. Hamilton have a chance round the outside here at the penultimate corner. He looks like he's trying to go around the outside. We tried to force him out wide. Hamilton's now going up the inside into the final corner, making some contact there on the exit, and Hamilton's been spun round. I think, to be honest, I didn't really give him enough space, but fortunately, no penalty or no warning whatsoever. So I think, really, it's a real scrap for that position. I think the EFTA stewards have taken that into account. Anyways, Hamilton tries to go around the outside. He makes hits us twice, nearly loses the car, power slides through the corner, still has enough drive, though, on the exit there, which was just really surprising. He makes contact with us and the bollard, which results in him just stopping in the middle between the track and the pit lane entry. So he's now losing positions. He's trying to get back onto the circuit, but then he just drives straight into the barrier, and he's now stuck. Or he's trying to reverse, and he's now stuck, and he's just doing a twitch with the steering wheel there. And unfortunately for him, this ends up resulting in Hamilton getting disqualified. So the championship leader is out of the race via disqualification, as the virtual safety car is now deployed because of that incident there. So that will definitely save our tyres all the way to the end of the race. We were eating up our tyres a little bit whilst battling with Hamilton, and also Bottas has also been catching us up at a rate of knots to battling with Hamilton, as the virtual safety car ends for us at the final corner right about now, at the end of lap number 32. But unfortunately, there's more trouble behind, as Romain Grosjean is now out of the race, and this is what actually happened to him. As you can see, his engine just lets go as soon as the virtual safety car has ended, and that is a real disappointing shame for the Haas driver. He was on course to score some points there, so really disappointing there. As we now come to the end of the final lap of the race, Ricciardo has won. As you can see, Bottas is right behind us here, so he was really close to actually overtaking us at the end. But fortunately for us, we're going to take a fantastic 5th place here in Hungary.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. And I can see now the drivers are making their way out. We need Red Bull fighting at the front. They do an incredible amount for Formula One. And that's another winner's trophy heading back to Milton Keynes. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Well, the lead at the top has come down after a poor result for our points leader. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
For my money, it's definitely the Manor driver. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today, as they make their way up the standings. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Until next time though, goodbye.
So confirming the results of the Magyar Nagydej Grand Prix, Ricciardo wins his second race of the season, Rosberg in second, Raikkonen in third, Vettel in fourth, good result for Ferrari there, myself in fifth, Bottas in sixth, the two McLaren Hondas getting a double point score in seventh and eighth, and they're followed by the two Toro Rossos of Danilo Kvyat and Carlos Sainz in ninth and 10th. Massive missing out on the points there in P11, so a bit of a poor strategy I think on his behalf, and also a bit of a poor start. As we scroll down to the bottom there, Pascal Wehrlein did finish in 17th place, so it's not too bad of a result in the end. As we now cut to the Drivers' Championship, as you can see, we've moved back ahead of Max Verstappen, as well as Bottas has also done the same to the Dutchman. As you can see at the top though, Ricciardo has now gone ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, as both of them are now only 28 points behind Lewis Hamilton at the as we've gone past the halfway stage with just 10 races to go. So 250 points are still on the table, so everything to play for here between those top three. And as we now cut to the Constructors' Championship, we see there that the only movers in the standings is McLaren moving ahead of Force India right there. So this battle for fifth is still going to have a very interesting complexion when we come towards the end of the season. I think it's going to be a real scrap between ourselves, McLaren, and possibly Force India if they develop their car. At the front there, Ferrari have closed the gap a little bit on Mercedes there with their third and fourth place compared to Mercedes' only second place. So it's getting pretty close there, and Red Bull also winning has allowed them to close the gap a little bit on the leading Mercedes cars. As we now cut to the MF, or the research and development page, as you can see, we actually have enough resource points to get another upgrade, and what I decided to do was take the engine upgrade because of the fact that we've got power tracks coming up such as Spa and Italy. So we're going to try and make our car fantastically, really quick in a straight line, and that will hopefully allow us to defend a little bit better than what we were doing today, considering the complexion of the track itself in Hungary. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. Also please comment to say what I could improve on in the actual series itself, and I'll see you guys for the next race, which will be the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim circuit. So until then, see you later.